What's good, y'all? Um, it's late, but I come on here to give my thoughts. Um, I just the Lord's been speaking to me a little bit, and I want to just share my thoughts. But so I was taking a shower yesterday. And I got in the shower. I turned the water on. I turned the hot water on. Turned the cold water on, just like a normal person. I don't want it too cold. I don't want it too hot. I don't want it warm. I prefer it to be hot, but not as hot. Not to where it's burning my skin off, right? Get in the shower. I start showering. But the hot water doesn't seem as hot anymore because my body has adjusted to the hot water. It doesn't feel as good, so I turn the cold water down a little bit, and then I get adjusted to that. Turn that cold water down a little bit. But at this point, the cold water is all the way down. It's just hot water. And the Lord spoke to me, and He gave me a revelation that, see, us Christians nowadays, we were so afraid of the hellfire, of going to hell. We were so afraid of going to hell when we were Christians, when we were close to God, when we were serving God. But now we've turned that cold water down so much that hell don't seem that bad. We've opened doors, compromised so much that hell doesn't seem that bad anymore. See, hell was the worst thing ever when we were serving God, when we were actually, doing the things of God, being faithful to God, no compromise. Hell seemed like the worst thing ever. But we have opened doors. We have gone so far off the path that hell doesn't seem that bad. We'd rather be like the world, right? What happened? What happened to Christians nowadays? Christians used to be God-fearing. We don't fear God anymore. And we sure don't fear the hell. We don't fear hell no more. We don't fear God no more. How can a preacher, a pastor, be tied in with a guy like Diddy? How can a pastor say it's okay to have gay marriages? How can a pastor grow weed in a church? How can a pastor call Jesus a stripper? How can a pastor, how can Christians be ashamed of the gospel? We went from being, I am unashamed of the gospel, to not preaching the gospel at all, to being ashamed and closing it in. We don't even share our faith anymore. Are we pressured by the world that much? Is the world that intimidating that we just forget our faith? Now Christians, see, the thing was, at first Christians were serving God, but then they got that little taste of the world, a little bit of compromise. And now you have different type of Christians. I'll give you an example. I used to work with a guy, he was a Christian. I used to work with another guy. I wouldn't say he's an atheist, but he told me, he said, why don't you, the guy his name was Joe. Probably shouldn't have said that, but his name was Joe. And the other dude, he said, you know Joe smokes, Joe drinks, he cusses, Joe, he listens to worldly music, why don't you? I said, well, sir, I'm a Christian, I'm a man of God. He was like, well, so is Joe. I said, well, sir, I'm a God-fearing Christian. I fear God. I fear hell. I don't compromise. They asked me, why don't you smoke? Why don't you drink? I said, what do you mean? I'm a Christian. See, nowadays, you can be a Christian and you can smoke. Nowadays, you can be a Christian and you can drink. You can be gay. You can cuss. You can listen to worldly music. Christian rappers nowadays. Christian gospel artists. Worship artists. Pastors. Secular music. People call it secular music. What happens to it being worldly music? Why is it called secular music? What happened to being wicked music? We've lightened it down a little bit. Now it's called secular music. I didn't know it was secular music until like a couple years later. I've always grew up calling it worldly music, or like music that was of the world. Wicked music. Evil music. Now it's just secular. Christian artists, rappers, they don't preach the gospel no more. I feel like when I was younger, it was a movement to be unashamed of the gospel of peace. Romans 1:16. It was a movement to be unashamed. Rappers were unashamed of the Lord. Now they don't even preach about the gospel. They barely mention his name. They want to be like the world so bad. Revelations 26, or Revelations 22:26. And all the nations will bring their glory and honor into the city. Nothing evil will be allowed to enter, nor anyone who practices shameful idolatry and dishonesty, but only those whose names are written in the Lamb's book of life. Idolatry, dishonesty. Hold on. Second Timothy 3. You should know this, Timothy, that in the last days there will be very difficult times. For people will love only themselves and their money. They will boast and be proud, scoffing at God, disobedient to their parents, and ungrateful. They will consider nothing sacred. They will be unloving and unforgiving. They will slander others and have no self-control. They will be cruel and hate what is good. They will betray their friends, be reckless, be puffed up with pride, and love pleasure rather than God. They will act religious, but they will reject the power that can make them godly. Stay away from people like that. Let's go back. Now, it says to stay away from people like that. But the crazy thing is that we have become those people. Instead of staying away from them, we've just become them. Those people are not going to have their names written in the book of life. You can't have your name written in the book of life and still actively sinning. You can't have your name written in the book of life and be smoking, drinking, partying every day. Fornication, masturbation, homosexuality, abortion. You can't, your name will not be written in the book of life. You will not make it to heaven. And if you don't die in your sin, then the Lord is coming back. Revelations 22:7. Look, I am coming soon. Blessed are those who obey the words of the prophecy written in this book. Revelations 22:12. Look, I am coming soon, bringing my reward with me to repay all the people according to their deeds. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end. Revelations 22:20. He who is the faithful witness to all these things, say, surely I am coming quickly. We have gone so far off the path. of righteousness. I don't know who needs to hear this, but what happened? What happened to your faith? What happened to you serving God? Is the world that good? Is your sin that pleasurable? Like, is it really that important to you to sin? Is that 5 seconds of pleasure, 5 minutes of pleasure, an hour a day of pleasure, worth you going to hell for eternity? God's not playing around, dude. I don't know who needs to hear this, but God is not playing around with you. You need to give your life to Christ. If you have, you need to do it again. You need to stop sinning. You need to stop playing around. Stop trying to be like the world. Stop having one foot in and one foot out. The Lord says, if you are neither cold or hot, I will vomit you. I will spit you out of my mouth. You can't stand on one side of the fence or the other, and you can't ride it. You can't sit on it. The devil owns the fence. Man, God is coming soon. Jesus Christ is returning, and he's not playing around. Dude, I mean, I feel like I can't stress this enough, but I'm going to keep preaching about this. I'm going to keep preaching that Jesus Christ is returning. I will not stop preaching about this. There are people that doesn't know the gospel, and as a man or a woman of God, you are scared to tell people about Jesus. See, the Lord had grace on you. The Lord gave you favor, and now you know about the Bible. You know about the Lord. You know that Jesus Christ loves you, but you're too scared to tell somebody about Jesus because you're scared that they're going to think of you some way. What if that person died that the Lord told you, tell him about Jesus, tell him about me, and you were scared, and what if that person died? How much hatred do you have to see a lost soul and not even help? See, if I let someone go down a road that I know is wicked, that I know is going to get them nowhere but hell, I would be a hater to just let them go. I would be a hater. Guys, I mean, we don't have much time. We really don't. Jesus Christ is coming back. It's time to stop compromising. It's time to stop, let go of your sin, number one. Number two, it's time to stop being unashamed of the Lord. It's time to stop being, just reserved. Oh, I'm just a reserved Christian. No, you're not. You're not called to be a reserved Christian. You're called to be a lion. You're called to be bold. You're called to be unashamed of the gospel. And none of this, I say none of this with hate at all. I don't say this because, I want you to feel bad. No, I say this because I say it with love. Because first of all, I'm not perfect. I'm not judging you. I'm not being a hypocrite. I'm not perfect. I say this with love, man. Yeah, I mean, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Pray y'all have a blessed night. Have a blessed day. I'm tired. See y'all next time. Goodbye.